You're listening to DraftKings Network.
Prime Big Deal Days are here with 2 days of big savings exclusively for Prime members. You'll feel like a VIP.
Right this way. Your hairdryer deal is waiting.
Sweet. Deals from clothes to electronics. It's on Prime Big Deal Days, October 11th and 12th.
Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings,
Why are you listening to this show?
the podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
The thing that's funny about this at the core of making it a business, and it's fascinating as a storyline, what Mike is saying is absolutely so. In the competitive game of buying yourself the best talent so you can compete with Saban, because it's the wild, wild west, it is more important that Mario Cristobal just get a team full of people that are 50 guys that could maybe play at Alabama and will take the 2 or 3 losses a season, because we know that you're going to stumble on some game days and lose some games you shouldn't, because I've always got a team that's a little more physically talented. There's no disputing this. The team that's out there for Miami is physically to the eye very obviously better than the one that was playing for them last year, even if Van Dyke is throwing 3 interceptions.
Yes, but don't you wonder with all that talent why that game's even close against Georgia Tech?
That's college football, dude. Don't hit me with that. That's college
Mike,
football.
they were 21-point favorites at home.
Oh,
Come
yeah?
on. It's
Okay,
Georgia
what
Tech.
was USC at home to Arizona? What was FSU on the road to Boston College? You've watched college football. These games happen.
USC won.
Yeah.
Clemson
I know.
this
Yeah,
weekend.
and if it weren't
Nice
for
cover for Arizona.
and if it weren't for the kneeling or a bad replay, Miami would have won. You have survive in advance games all the time. What I'm telling you is when he got signed here, I readily admitted we're going to build some talent. I'm going to want to fire him maybe once or twice a year, and that was before I realized they'd expand the playoff. All right? He's going to lose occasionally these games. That's a cost of doing business. But hopefully you stack the talent to the point that you're still in the conversation and you can navigate that.
To me, it's crazy as a conversation, though, Cody. Think about where we are when the way you win at the dirty business of power college football, Stugotz, the dollars being thrown around by these networks, the ACC got robbed. He got robbed by our CEO. Robbed. Their TV contract is awful. Miami is a brand that this dude is managing. Is this guy, it is in his care. You don't feel anything in the way of bad for him in this, because this is the paycheck and we are entitled to hammer him again and again from any angle, even though it is the prevailing echoing opinion that no one disagrees with. One of the reasons it's so fun is because everyone can say today, wow, what an idiot you are. What a fool.
But do you feel bad for Brian Kelly when he loses?
No,
a game?
not at all.
Okay, so what's the difference?
What's the difference? You care about the program. That's the difference.
That is the difference.
Yes.
I mean, I feel a little bit bad for Coach Cristobal, the person, yeah, but not as bad as Dan does. This is big boy stuff, and he understands that. Where I feel bad about Mario Cristobal is I know no one cares. I care deeply. I don't care anywhere close as much as Mario Cristobal cares. For $80 million, you have an obsessive, compulsive person that Barry Jackson takes exception to him wanting to control every aspect of everything, including Barry Jackson's job. You have someone that cares more than anyone. That if this fails, it might literally kill the man.
Nobody wants to hear moderation, but you can say both things. You can say the mistake Cristobal made was inexcusable. It's going to stain him forever. And you can also say, yeah, but it's not felonious. It's not something that should bring the college coaching equivalent of the death penalty. These people saying he needs to resign immediately. He should be fired.
Who are those
Patently
people?
ridiculous.
If he cares about the program, he should bring in a better coach.
Bingo.
That was all over social
Who
media
are
the
those
night of that
people?
game.
Who are these people?
They're unnamed people that Barry Jackson's picking a fight with.
What's wrong with what Billy just said? You have a guy who's in charge of getting the players, and then a guy who's in charge of coaching the players.
Look, I would love that.
Huh?
I hope that Miami grows to the program that someone else will be managing their games. And Mario can just be
That's
good.
not what you hope when you pay someone $80 million.
No, usually
this is
not.
Insane.
Yeah, the costs have gotten very expensive, and now all you get for $80 million is the guy who gets the guys. And I'll take that for now because that's a win. The guy who gets the guys, that kind of matters. That we're doing it straight commerce now.
Now he's just a Nick Saban away.
But Stugotz, we're doing it straight commerce now. There's a reason Saban's staff are 3 times as large as everybody else. I mean, Jason Taylor, a Hall of Famer, is on Cristobal's staff. And how does Jason Taylor feel?
He would have taken a knee.
No, but Jason Taylor, better at football than Mario Cristobal ever was, older, I think, than Mario Cristobal, being yelled at by crazy person Mario Cristobal. Because the job now is to win at the business of college sports and get the players. And that's what he does well. But I'm totally in on Billy's idea of I will allow someone else to coach the team on maybe Fangs.
He already kind of did.
Really?
Cristobal ceded a bunch of control this season to his coordinators. And by the way, Shannon Dawson cut from the same cloth. If you watch the replays of what was happening there, Shannon Dawson was calling the plays.
Right. And he admitted it.
Yeah, it's Mario's job to step in and say, hey, take a knee. And sometimes they have someone else because these guys are so locked in. I know Mark Rick had his son say, hey, we should think about time management here. But Mario Cristobal has to step in at that point, and that's the accountability.
Alex Mirabal's running up the sideline telling him to just take a knee. And
yeah, I saw that still, and I watched it back to see if I could see Alex Mirabal actually say take a knee, because that's what the internet has made it.
I want to believe it, yeah.
Yeah.
How about Van Dyke say, hey, no, coach, I'm not running that play. I'm taking a knee. It's winning time.
Not how college
You
works.
can't do that?
You're a fool.
How about
done that.
How about
They would've
somebody?
won. Yeah.
Somebody on that staff. I don't care who it is. How about the assistant offensive line coach in
Anybody.
the staff
Well,
meeting
that might have
goes,
actually happened.
why aren't we kneeling?
Is that Mirabal's job? Is that his job?
Mirabal, there's a still that's pretty convincing. And again, I watched it to try to see if I could confirm the still. And you can write a narrative around it, but it does appear from the still that Mirabal is actually telling Dawson and Coach Cristobal right next to him, hey, let's kneel the ball. What are we doing? And they're not really paying much attention to him because they're locked in on the game.
Is what Dan is saying, is that true, Mike? Because I don't have Jason Taylor being yelled at by Mario Cristobal.
Mario Cristobal learned from Nick Saban.
He's yelling
he yells
at
everybody.
JT. Really?
Yeah, Nick Saban yelled at
Really?
Jason Taylor. Mario Cristobal's intense.
I mean,
this is his program.
I'd quit.
There-
Jason Taylor.
Dude,
I
there
mean-
have been a lot. There have been a lot that have quit and moved on. It's not for everybody.
My larger point on this, it's the part that I find most interesting, is big money business. Miami wants to be in the game, and Mario Cristobal, with a team of mercenaries at 8 years, $80 million, his strength coach, Jason Taylor, Hall of Famer on your sidelines. The Hall of Famers don't get those jobs.
Right.
That's not where they start. They don't. So Jason Taylor was a lot better at football than Mario Cristobal. He is older than Mario Cristobal. Mario Cristobal now...
He's not older than Mario Cristobal. Mario Cristobal played on national championship teams. I mean, Jimmy Johnson drafted Jason Taylor.
Okay, forgive me, but I don't think
close.
I don't think of Jason Taylor.
JT's almost 50.
I don't think of Jason Taylor looking at Mario Cristobal and saying, you know more about football than I do. But in this case, he is living in service of, we're going to build a business football factory down here. And Cristobal, learning the lessons of Saban, will try and build us into the giant program to restore what we were 30 years ago. That's the gamble, that Mario will be better at the business of this. Correct? They've hired a CEO of their business.
Yes, the gamble here is to be better than what we've been, because we've also been laughed at for 20 years. We've been missing bowl games. We've had 7-win seasons. We're all sick of that. Yes, I'd love to get to the national championship discussion, and I hope to God we're talking college football playoff rankings, hoping to God some of the voters saw that it was not actually a fumble, and we can celebrate the human element instead of computers. I hope we get there.
You have the voters doing that, huh?
that's why I'm doing long view here. The team looks way better than it did last year. The body types look way better than it did last year.
Body types.
Yeah, it's a big...
It's true.
You win with bodies.
You're right,
You
Mike.
win with dogs.
Yep.
All right? So if I project that over a full cycle, over 4 years...
Dogs kneel.
Keep...
Dogs do kneel. You know what? He's so right about that. He's so right. You could get a dog to kneel.
Yeah.
I'll deal with the Sun Bowl. I'll deal with a 7-win season in year 2. I'll deal with it.
You're going to deal with a 7-win season this year?
Entering this season, we were talking about 8 wins being a success. Like I'll deal with that as long as I believe in the process,
but this
and
is
that
a problem.
the talent is going to keep improving year over year, and by year 3, year 4, in an expanded college football playoff, you can legitimately compete. I'm not going to all of a sudden change the math just because this season started off better than all of you thought it would. I am not.
Fuentes, can you do me the favor, please, at some point in the corner of the screen here on video on YouTube, I would like for you to put up the face that Mike Ryan was making in the middle of his mask-wearing disguise when Deion was having success for 3 games and all the Miami guys were flocking to Deion's side. A rabid Mike Ryan came out unmasked and just yelled, "I hate Deion Sanders," because he cares about this program in an unreasonable way. More, I dare say, than even Barry Jackson. And you've seen what lurks within him.
Debatable, yeah.
What Mike is trying to keep a measured tone as he takes on, as he welcomes, as he tries to create Heat basketball 2010 in college football. He's moving and shaking in the big rooms. He's offering Amin, you want some power at the game? And Amin's like, no, I'll just sit in the stands with Georgia Tech because I will not be bought. I will not stand on the Miami sideline. Mike's moving and shaking, trying. That's such a funny phrase. I don't even know what it means, but it's what he's doing. Trying to lead this program to glory. He's being
No, I'm not. I'm just trying to do my part.
Yeah.
I'm just trying
You need to hold Mario accountable next time you see him. You need to ask for you're his boss. Like, you pay his salary. You need to have him come up to you and explain to you why it is that he did the things that he did. Not be afraid of him. There needs to be some accountability around here. That's why we're having 5 and 6 win seasons. You need to hold people accountable. When you're paying $80 million to a coach, you're not just hoping to take the next step. You want to be in the room with the big boys. You want to be in the college football playoffs. This is a $4 million a year salary. This is $8 million. $80 million over 10 years. $10 million over 8 years, whatever it is. You need to get some accountability from this man. Hold him accountable. That's the thing. He's just walking around here all loosey-goosey, doing whatever he damn well pleases. Everyone's afraid of him. You need to hold him accountable, Mike. That's your part. That's what you need to do for this school that you've dedicated so much time and passion and money towards. You need to do the hard things sometimes, and say, hey, buddy, buck up. That's where we are right now. I'm sorry, because you're headed into a slaughterhouse, as Taylor says, next weekend. And then what happens? It's 2 straight games. And then we're really feeling bad for Mario. And then what happens the following week? Who do you play? Clemson. Oh, boy. Oh, if you lose to Clemson. It's over. It's over. The whole thing is over. How can't it be? Then Virginia. 3 straight. You don't want to face the
Cavs.
Virginia.
Mike,
NC State, Florida State, Louisville. I mean, the list goes on and on. What time is Georgia Tech football coach? Is it Mike Elko? What time is he joining God Bless Football this week? Because I've missed that general theme.
We tape with him. He was laughing like the rest of us.
You do understand that Mike Ryan's descent into insanity is going to appear like The Lighthouse, the movie. We're halfway through the season.
Hey, it's Mike Ryan. This football season, do what I do. Pair your national obsession with a Miller Lite. I make it Miller time all football season long. So many great memories made only better by that crisp, clean finish. That triple hops brewed Miller Lite. From kickoff to the final whistle, you just can't go wrong with a Miller Lite in your hand. It's the only light beer with a taste worthy of our national obsession. Because what's the point of having a beer if it doesn't taste like, well, beer? And I get all the taste that I crave without the calories. That's a big one because football and beer, those games are long. Sometimes you want to have more than one. You want to be less filled, but you want to have your taste buds fulfilled. It's only got 96 calories, folks. 3.2 carbs per 12-ounce serving. That's pretty good. That's amazing. That is Miller time. Make it Miller time all season long. Get Miller Lite delivered right to your door. Visit MillerLite.com/Dan, where you can find it pretty much anywhere that sells beer. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Don Le Batard. Greg Cote of the Miami Herald, who is a source of constant frustration and entitlement and narcissism. This is what he says. This is either the last Back in My Day as a regular series or the first of a new phase in which Back in My Days are occasional, not every week. So he has just announced officially his laziness.
Stugotz.
I want to make him an occasional series.
I am once a week.
But no, I think more occasional.
Right.
I think every time you don't have a back in my day, you can't do the show. I think we should.
Okay, that's fine, because I have a contract, so if you want to pay me for not doing the show.
That's fine. We can pay him for doing nothing. We already do.
That's a good one. I got no retort for that.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Chris Cote, I need to commiserate with you for a second over the producing of your father. Is
that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I need to explore some of what's happening here because I've been dealing, obviously, most recently with a lot of mortality stuff, and my parents later in life, they become toddlers, and they become people that you are caring for, even if they're independent, stubbornly independent. Like you cannot.
They took care of you, Dan. Just so you know.
I know, but your dad too. You know, I'm not the only one living this right now. You understand what it's like after the death of your mother to chase a toddler around through his old age because they become infants again. Your dad, Greg Cote, has been that infant for the entire time he's been under the care of his wife. He is a child. And now at 69 years old, what are you making faces?
I mean, it's just weird to be talked about while you're in the same room, and further to be called a toddler and talked about as if you're on death's door. I mean, that kind of thing, you know.
The rare both.
Okay, the point being, this is the...
A toddler on death's door.
This is the end of your career, you would agree, right? Like this is...
Well, define end. I mean...
Are you ever gonna retire?
No. No,
well, the Greg Cote show with Greg Cote is just taking off.
Exactly right. I just asked Greg what he was doing during the break. He was emailing someone at the Panthers for his credentials, set up an interview, get everything ready for the season. He's never going to stop doing this.
Things are happening, Dan. I got a new book coming out. I mean, I'm just getting started, Jack. Come on now. That kind of thing. And you know it. I am just getting started. Getting my second wind. Oh, yeah.
Starting it.
Okay,
damn right.
The point of all of this is I feel like, and perhaps I'm underestimating him, I feel like we are holding Greg Cote's hands for whatever it is that he wants to make of his 70s in union of his business and his journalistic might in this market.
Holding me back is more like it.
Okay, an anchor on his career, otherwise.
An anchor. Paul Anchor.
Oh, my God, what a bad joke.
That is a bad one.
What a bad joke.
It was a stretch, but I enjoyed it.
They said Paul Anchor, which I think is a reference to Paul Anka.
It is, yeah.
No,
Yeah.
it's worse
Love
than
Paul
that.
Anka.
No, look. What a betrayal. You explained that joke that no one but me got. You explained it because I wish it was Paul Anka. I dream for the comedic genius of Greg Cote being so musty old that he just makes a Paul Anka reference. No, this is a joke that he just made that only I would get.
Yes, it was just for you, Dan.
Only. No one else and no one listening to this would get it except me. Explain to them the shit of that joke you just threw on us because you're a toddler in the last parts of his career.
He made it just for you.
Throwing feces at us.
Thoughtful. You should thank him.
A few decades ago, the Miami Herald had an executive sports editor named Paul Anger, Anger, and he was great. I love Paul, but he did not give me a column. And then his successor was the one who gave me a column. So the joke was I should start calling Paul Anger Paul Anchor because he had that effect on my career. Love you, Paul, if you're listening.
The Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote and his frustrated son, Chris, because, Chris, you've already experienced this. This is the worst part of what I'm about to say. Not only have you experienced trying to take care of this toddler as he's entitled and narcissistic, and the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote is totally out of control with a tribute and a celebration to his every whim. You just have to run and chase it. Whatever time he wants something, you have to go produce him. It's annoying because the world revolves around his podcast.
It's true. That's easy money for Christopher, by the way.
He's not that well paid.
Based on what he does, I would say he is.
No, oh, my God.
Oh, here we go.
Really?
Oh, my God.
Really?
He's doing charity.
I'll take a few weeks off if it'll make your life easier.
He's doing charity.
Christopher does a great job on the podcast.
Chris Cote.
No, I'll be back in a month. I'll be back in a month.
Joking.
Chris Cote, you're doing charity for your father. I know what he pays you. It's the only payment I know in this whole damn company. It's insulting what you're paying.
No, it isn't insulting. I'm a small-time operation. You know, we're growing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And thank you, listeners.
You do what you can do.
Yeah, right. I'm not a major. I don't have a $50 million deal with a, a sports book. I mean, I'm a one-man operation.
Yep.
Well, 3 men.
Well, that's true. Mm-hmm. You know, sell a T-shirt now and then, make a little extra coin.
Nice hat.
If you want to do the pie chart of who does the most and the least on the Greg Cote Show with Greg Cote, you don't want to see that pie chart.
Well, hold on a second.
He's the star.
Hold on a second.
Twice.
I have a bone to pick with Christopher here on Greg's behalf.
Thank you, Billy.
Because I was thinking about this the other day. Just yesterday, as a matter of fact, I was thinking about this. So last week or the week before, Christopher chastised his father, Greg, for going on a cruise and not attending the Greg Cote Show taping or something about the Dolphins-related thing. And he's like, how could you go on a cruise during football season? Then we show up to the office yesterday. Look around. Christopher's not here. Where's Christopher? On a cruise.
Yeah, he's on a cruise.
This is what I was going to bring up. That the worst part of this is not only that he's underpaying you, it's that you're becoming him.
Oh, no.
You are becoming right in front of us. You're becoming. A week ago, you excoriated your father,
and you know it. Yeah, I gotta laugh.
Quit stealing my material,
Brad. Bay. Zagaki.
All right. All my greatest hits.
That's it. There's nothing else. That's the treasure chest. So that's
trailers for sale.
Wait.
Rooms to let 50 cents.
I'm Greg Cote, and that's how it was. Back in my day.
He's got one today.
What?
No, he doesn't.
Wow.
It's a Tuesday. It's Tuesday.
On a quality control week.
Yeah.
He has got one, but I just need to stay here for a minute, for just a second, because Greg Cote, this person who brings in 5 catchphrases in a song and crushes it every week at the end of his career, he comes in here every Tuesday, last one in on a meeting none of us want to be in. None of us have ever had meetings. I didn't leave ESPN so we could have meetings.
I enjoy them.
You don't seem to enjoy them.
You're the only one that contributes less than Greg Cote.
You don't. Yeah. Okay. So Greg Cote comes
Daily
in.
document. My topics are right there.
No. Yeah. There's nothing.
What'd he set it up?
You couldn't possibly be doing any less. You come in here and you smoke in the garage. No one here wants to do meetings because the two of these are so great at what they do that they don't need meetings.
Thank you.
They've mastered the craft so much that neither one of them needs to be talked to in a meeting about anything.
Yeah. The look that my dad gives when Mike goes, Greg, you got anything?
And the answer's always no.
Offended. Offended that I want to include him in a meeting.
Because I submit my topics
the
that
Daily
morning.
Doc. Yeah.
Okay, but I would like to explore your topics.
We're talking
so I
them
can
out.
formulate.
Okay. I didn't know you were the EP today, so I didn't include you on my
But you never have.
I didn't know that you were so good and so on it in such great form that you're
Greg,
beyond the
point-
meeting.
No, you do.
The larger point is, and this is, we finally gotten to the truth, and we do know it.
Yeah.
We finally do got to the truth, which is Greg Cote thinks he has mastered this craft. Greg Cote thinks he has mastered this craft. He is so good at producing quality audio for people. At a whim, farts it out. Perpetually amusing. His producers don't do anything. He does all the work on the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote. Where his underpaid producers.
I'm Greg.
Elton John?
Make him look like a star. This person has mastered the craft so much that he doesn't need any meetings to talk about anything.
Thank you.
Ever.
You're coming around now. I appreciate that.
Just show up and let it fly, Greg.
You know, extemporaneous is the way to go through life. Mm-hmm. Too much planning is a detriment.
Yep.
Are you ready for Back in My Day? Is everyone ready for Back in My Day? I can't believe it's here. Look, he's winded already. He's winded from
winded.
He's talked a lot this hour.
You've talked
He just
a lot.
got his second wind.
No,
Dan. He's got
Greg,
plenty of wind.
Greg,
Thank you, Billy.
I told him this morning, Greg, have you noticed? Last week, at the end of the show, you made a messy point that was gibberish, and then you said something no one understood. You realize how tired you're getting at the end of these shows. It's making less and less sense what you drool into a microphone as you say, I'm just starting my career.
And now it is time to take a trip down memory lane. Here's your guide, Greg Cote, with Back in My Day.
Hotel housekeeping. Hotel housekeeping. As we reflect on the COVID-19 pandemic, a time we now get to pretend to ourselves is all over, the changes it brought are pretty immense. It certainly deepened our political divide as half of America mourned the loss of 1 million lives while the other half called the whole thing a hoax, declined vaccines, and got kicked off planes for refusing to wear a mask. Fair to say it also greased the skids for those entangled by mental illness as antisocial behavior became all but mandated and those hanging onto reality by a thread sank further into untethered paranoia. On a lighter note, in many other ways, the effect of the pandemic is now seen in little things not profoundly important, yet still a jolt to what had been our accepted routine, like hotel housekeeping. It largely went away, and for the most part, it ain't a coming back, Jack. Major hotel chains tried to put it off as altruism at first, as if looking out for our health and safety back when social distancing was a thing and guests probably were just fine without the maid skipping through the place with a feather duster. Then things returned to normal, but hotels had gotten used to what those reduced housekeeping staffs had done for their profit margin. Suddenly, the only real reason to stay in a hotel in the first place, despite the exorbitant cost, to have a maid, to feel pampered, to return from touristing to a pristine room, had been taken away. Now, you get that laminated card on the table that explains you can now have maid service, but only by special request, presumably if someone on the remaining skeletal staff is in the mood. Maid service was a part of the deal. You expected it. You returned to a welcoming, pillowy duvet, a neat stack of fresh towels standing sentry at the ready, the end of the toilet roll folded in a V for no apparent reason whatsoever other than to make me feel cared for. It was that little bit of uncommon luxury. Oh, you'd like an extra shampoo brought to your room? Right away, Mr. Cote. Hey, I'm easy to please. 2 mints on a pillow, and I feel like a doggone king. Now, you feel guilty even asking for housekeeping, like little Lord Fauntleroy demanding a pedicure. Some chains now recommend you leave trash outside your door for pickup. What? Marriott's policy varies by property, but housekeeping is mostly by request now, with rooms cleaned automatically only every 6th night. My hotel room after 6 days unattended would look like a team of frat boys had sardined in and during Mardi Gras. In my room after 6 days without maid service, you'd find bedding on the floor, towels scattered like shrapnel, pizza boxes in the bathtub, empty Miller Lite bottles arranged across the room in neat triangles like bowling pins, and a lamp inexplicably in the refrigerator. Hotels, if I'm paying you $429 to sleep in your room for a night, the least you can do, literally, the least you can do is keep that room clean. I'm Greg Cote, and that's how it was back in my day.
And that's why we keep him around, right there. Look, despite his bitterness in meetings, because he can go to a hotel and demand that the maid treat him better. God damn it.
Right.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
Panera's You Pick 2 lets you draft your perfect meal, like a smoky buffalo chicken toasted baguette and creamy mac and cheese. Think you're an expert at picking the perfect pair? Play Panera's You Pick 2 football challenge from DraftKings, and that skill could make you richer, because there's $45,000 in total prizes up for grabs. Predict which iconic football duo you think will perform best in 9 weekly contests, October through December. Free to play on DraftKings. Learn more at DraftKings.com/Panera. Eligibility restrictions apply. Void where prohibited.
Hey guys, it's Tony. US Cellular is introducing US Mode. It's like airplane mode, but for people. You got that? Cool. It's a way to set up your phone so it doesn't get in the way of people really being with each other. Block distractions and make way for a real connection. Give it a try. Visit US Cellular in-store or online, and they'll help set up your phone to US mode for free. Really, for free. Even if you're not a customer, they'll still do it. That's how good US Cellular is. Built for superior 5G connection and real human connection. US Cellular. Built for us. Find out more at uscellular.com/findus.
Don Le Batard.
Look out now.
Just Jack White doing Elvis and Dewey Cox.
Stugotz.
She hits it out of the park.
Harry Carey is who that is?
It's Will Ferrell doing Harry Carey.
And Elvis occasionally. And
Look out now.
This is the Don Le Batard Show with the Stugotz.
So I think I've reached maturity.
Really? Wow. When did
Over
that
the
happen?
weekend, I went out, like we were talking last segment, I went on a cruise, a 3-day cruise, and for the first time in my life.
Hold on a minute. So Tony goes into the forest and he finds God. You go on a cruise and you find maturity.
That's right. There was it was 3 nights, 3 possible nights for being debaucherous.
Well,
what?
There's a bad start to you found maturity.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
my
It's
boy Cook,
potentially-
hold
let
up.
me cook. Let me cook.
But Chris, hold on. Before you go forward here, if I said you went on the same cruise maybe 7-8 years ago, of those 3 nights, you're going out all 3 nights?
I would go hard every single possible night of the cruise. And on this weekend, for the first time ever,
just family thing with your daughter.
This was not a family cruise. This was a friend's cruise,
Oh.
no kids. So even more excuse to let
foos.
loose
Yeah.
this weekend. On Saturday, night 2.
You don't get a lot of these, do you?
No. I went to bed at 10:30.
What?
Well,
hold on a
hold
second.
on. But what
Hold
happened
on a
during the day? Because
I got hammered.
Oh, but yeah.
Pool bar at Coco K.
you were drunk. Right, that's
You
not.
couldn't go anymore.
But
You-
I got up intending to get to attack the night.
No, you-
Right.
And I went to dinner and I was like, I'm sleepy.
So hold on.
That's not maturity.
That is,
Drinking all day.
no. That is
You
so
drank,
mature.
you drank to failure. That's your engine kaputting.
Old me
No.
would have pushed through.
That's you being
Because if you
old.
push through, you can get there. I know
Chris, you told me about this before the show. I thought your family was with you.
No, that's I feel like if my kid was with me, that's more of an excuse to not go crazy. When I don't have my kid there, like there was nothing holding me back other than just maturity.
But do you know what maturity is?
Right.
It's
No.
it's when you think about consequences. I'm thinking about my health. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to get all.
But you got too drunk during the day that your body couldn't support your bad behavior at night. It wasn't maturity that had you.
That's
make this
speaking from a
decision.
guy who's never been to the pool bar
That
at
swim up
Coco
bar
K.
at Coco K.
Stu, you remember that on my bachelor party?
I do, yes. Oh, do
Green
I ever?
T-shots.
That is a dangerous game.
I didn't go out that night either.
Love Coco K.
Perfect day, some say.
Well,
Yeah,
Chris,
great.
you learned from the Stamina King. I imagine your father on a cruise unrelenting from 6
That's what I
p.m.
mean.
to 3 a.m.
That's the standard that I try to live up to.
Crazy. No, but you're
He goes. I've been on an 8-night cruise with him. He never stops.
You grew up with DiMaggio of drunkenness. What are you doing? Like your dad's a horse?
A horse.
I thought Mantle was the DiMaggio of drunkenness.
I moderate.
Whoa.
Lou Gehrig's the Iron Horse.
No,
I was proud of myself.
I imagine.
Also disappointed. Woke up the next day. I was like, "Who are you? You're a failure."
This is what I would guess.
What?
And I would think this would be the difference between you and your dad. You correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know if I have this identified correctly, but your dad strikes me as somebody who may drink from 5 or 6 p.m. till 1 a.m., and there ain't going to be any eating in there. You might snarf a piece of pizza at the buffet on your way to 10:30.
Oh, I'm eating.
Snarf, a great word.
No, and now the carbs are going to get you in a way they're not. Your father has worked this marathon muscle. It's nothing but fluid that's going through there for 7 hours.
That's how I keep my figure.
He'll order pasta at dinner, and then there'll be more pasta when he's done.
Who did you go on this cruise with?
My friends, my adult friends that I've made.
What? Wait a minute. What kind of phrase? What phrase was that?
You swinging now?
That sounds like a swing.
What's
You guys-
going on here?
Roy, you
Couple
haven't
pineapples in the room?
made parent friends like in the last few years, like a new friend group that you've because of.
Questions remain. Are you swinging now?
Like at a school, like these are
He
school
was
parents or something?
swinging.
It was a dad's weekend. He met some friends with his wife. They go out for dinner once in a while, and it's like, hey, let's all go on a cruise for a weekend.
And then switch our partners.
If the shoe fits. A few years ago, I was at a park with my kid, and I met another dad, and we've just connected, and now I have a whole new group of friends.
What?
Parent friends.
Billy, what? You have not made
Like I said, maturity.
Billy, you have not made adult friends?
No.
You have.
I didn't make childhood friends.
And we all
Baby.
I mean, free.
You want in on this, Greg? or-
No.
That's a shocking plot twist. That's going to be in the Sueys next year.
Wow. Yeah.
As a revelation. Finally, we unmask that Chris Cote is a
If the shoe fits.
Is a swinger. He said if
A mature swinger.
Yeah, wearing one shoe that fits. He's swaggering into the room wearing only that, and now we're all left with the haunting images of a confident Chris Cote.
Mature.
Wearing nothing but a
Mature, confident Chris
A
Cote.
single shoe that fits, wearing only a shoe that fits.
That's why I was so tired.
And
So
it's
wait-
not on his foot, by the way.
It's on his dick, Dan.
The height of comedy, these two.
So you just met a guy at a park and now you're
What's
going cruises
happening
with
here?
him?
Yeah.
None of us are making adult friends. Mike has made adult friends. Tony is still on his way.
No, don't drag me in.
I mean, through your kids though, like through your kids, like it was birthed by your kids playing at a park or somewhere.
No adult friends for me.
Yeah.
But like, are these friends of like your kids' friends, like parents of your kids' friends?
I've kind of joined the guy that I met at the park and his daughter. I've become good friends with him, and so he has brought me into his world. So now I'm like hanging
This
out. with
sounds
all
like that movie.
It's honestly great.
I love you, man. Like you just be like we're looking for an adult friend that you became friends
That's
with.
crazy. I haven't made a friend in 30 years.
Roy's made friends. What a
Nah, not
great
really.
thing to put it on a T-shirt.
I haven't made
I
friends in
haven't
30
made
years.
a friend in 30 years.
What's the point? I mean,
You
who needs
said-
more
You know,
friends?
I mean,
You said
come
that
on.
as if you were proud of it.
Well,
Roy has
I'm
made.
not ashamed. I
Roy
mean,
has made adult friends. Is Roy the only one around here who has made friends in adulthood?
Nah, not really.
Chris and
Nah,
Roy.
not really.
No?
I got enough friends. I'm good. Thanks.
So Roy has not made it. Well, Chris has matured. I guess the rest of us haven't matured yet.
Maturity.
But that
so hammered on Saturday.
It does happen, Dan. You go out to the park with your kid. You go to Central Park. You put him on a swing, and then all of a sudden, some other dad's out there with their kid. And are you Chris Cote from the Dan Batard show?
Oh,
I've been there.
Did he know you?
Yeah.
He told me a few days later that he knew me.
It was
planted.
It was a plan. Oh, no.
Stalker.
You've been trapped.
When's he supposed to bust that out?
Wait, to talk to you about the show?
Conversation
Saturday
one.
night, I think, was the
no,
plan.
no. He's dating for the wrong reasons.
I'm a narcissist, though. I love it.
Like your father, you excoriated him a week earlier for being gone on a cruise during a football season. I'm confused by this. Billy, you're delighted by it.
No. Well, first of all, if you remember back, I was saying, Dad, when you were on the cruise, I covered for you. It was the previous week that I was at the Dolphins game, and he criticized me for not being there Sunday, and then he wasn't available on that Sunday.
He expects you to
So I just
show
said
up.
to him, hey, I covered you when you were on the cruise. I wasn't crushing him for being on the
well,
cruise.
you had made a plan to be on the show after the 70-20 Denver
We're getting
game.
bogged down.
That
again.
was prematurity.
Yeah, that was prematurity. Mm-hmm. You got that right. It
Not
was
Saturday,
it was malfeasance, is what it was.
So
There was none of that on Saturday.
What did Sunday look like for mature Chris?
Can we have this out? Let's have it out on air. Your dad hasn't let go of it yet. He hasn't let go of it.
I was furious.
No, you're still furious.
Well, I never got a proper apology, to be honest with you.
Wow.
No, he dragged the show. Chris.
I'm not doing this again.
Chris.
Just say sorry. It's over.
I did say sorry.
Be the bigger
man.
person. You're mature.
Well, it's not over.
It was an equivocal sorry.
You're
Let's put
mature
it that
now,
way.
Chris. Do
Was
it
it
right.
heartfelt?
He didn't like the sorry?
It was one of those, sorry if I disappointed you. Well, I'm sorry you disappointed me too. That kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But I'm past it. It's fine.
Yeah, you seem past it.
It's water under the bridge.
I'm so annoyed with you.
Wait, no, you're mature now.
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Greg, 2 weeks ago, you said you weren't yourself and you were terrible because you spent the whole show seething at what a bad producer
Right.
your son had been, your underpaid son, who doesn't think that he has to work Sunday nights when he's getting drunk at the Dolphin game. I learned it from you, Dad. I learned it from you.
Well, I was covering that Dolphin game.
Just saying, drinking on a Sunday Dolphin football, his dad has made his career around that. Your son didn't want to work that night. I don't want to drag this into the mud, but you already have.
First of all, I never drink on the job. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but your son doesn't think he works for you on Sunday night, every Sunday night. Well, it's not the terms of the deal for what you're paying him. You're not paying him enough to be available at your every whim.
Well, says who?
It says the numbers.
Says Chris, I guess.
You have
again.
You have a successful podcast.
I'm a small-time operation. I'm a one-man show.
You said that already,
But it's got your name twice on it. You're not a one-man operation. It's the Greg Cote Show featuring Greg Cote.
Well, but the same person on both sides of that name, so that kind of thing.
I think it's a one-man show. Yeti and I will take a couple weeks off, and you can handle it.
Oh my God! Please,
I will do what I have to.
You know what? No, Chris.
We'll take off. We'll f each other's wives, and then we'll be back in a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm. You and Yeti, or you and Greg?
If the shoe fits. Well,
if the shoe fits.
Wait a minute. Damn it, Billy.
He cornered you.
Chris, please, I would like a post-swinger show reveal of what that show would sound like if you and Yeti did nothing and just let your dad do the podcast.
It wouldn't get recorded.
No.
It would be him talking with his computer off into his mic.
I'd forget to press record.
Mm-hmm.
No, you need to show your father how little he actually does on his own podcast while starring on it.
I think he could record it, but then how would you post it?
I don't know. I'm not a producer.
Right.
I'm a talent.
It's your job.
Oh my God.
It's ridiculous.
And of course, he's literally looking at the podcast numbers on his screen right now.
Yeah. No, well, that's true. I'm gonna get that off the screen.
Greg,
how's it doing?
What are you
Pretty good.
doing, Greg?
I know.
Greg.
It just happened to be on the screen.
Greg, it always is.
Looking at it.
It always is, Greg.
No,
Greg.
Nah, I just, it just happened to be on the screen. I wasn't looking at it. Mm-hmm. Who can blame me if I was, but I wasn't.
Greg, you can't be doing the show with us and constantly refreshing your podcast numbers.
No, I'm not. I'm researching things that might come up on the show.
Yeah.
Right. You know how that goes. I mean,
on Megaphone?
I'm always working things.
Yeah.
I got Google search happening. And, I'm looking up stuff.
Right.
I'm verifying. Right. How old is Jason Taylor? I'm on it. 49. I'm full of information.
That was 3 segments ago.
Yeah, I'm confirming it. I'm a journalist. I'm confirming Jason Taylor is 49, 4 years younger than Mario Cristobal.
This is the new and unimproved Dan Le Batard show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.